the perfect terminology for what happened.
What did it make you feel? You know, Hillary Clinton once said that women that make allegations should be believed and trusted, I guess, except in the case of anybody that makes an accusation against her husband.
Exactly. She doesn't want to hear that.
Juanita, I'm not going to ask you again today. I know every time I have asked you, it's painful for you to go back and tell the entire story, and we actually replayed part of my last interview with you on this program last week. What I want to focus in on, though, today with you is you were at this conference in Little Rock with a friend of yours at a nursing conference, and she saw you immediately after this event happened where he did assault you, correct?
Right, within 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah, and she saw that your lip was puffed up and bleeding, and she saw you were in such distress, and you told her right then what had happened. Is that correct?
Yes, I did, immediately. Norma Rogers was her name back then, but it's Norma Kelsey now.
And she has corroborated this many, many times that you told her right then and there.
Right.
Yeah, and how many other people, Juanita, did you tell at the time?
Probably 4 or 5.
Right, and all of those people, I know you had a boyfriend at the time, you told him, correct?
Right.
And who were the other 2 people?
The other 3 people were Norma's sister, Jean Darden, and Susan Lewis, who was a dear friend. I was godmother to her children, and Kathleen Emerson at the time was her name. It's now Krigler. She was my roommate in nurses training.
Yeah, and they've all corroborated that you told them at the time. Because a lot of questions people have raised, well, why did Juanita Broaddrick not tell her story back at the time? Now, the person, Bill Clinton at the time, was the Attorney General of the state of Arkansas, correct?
Oh, that's right. You know, who would say anything against him?
Yeah. And
all I wanted to do was to forget about it and go home.
And that is not an uncommon reaction. As a matter of fact, I think it happens more often than not. Isn't that true? Haven't we learned that over the years as it relates
that's what
to
I've heard.
Yeah. And when you told these women, did any of them suggest that you reported to the police?
No. One person that I talked to, I think they agreed.
Yeah.
This was just something I couldn't do.
Unbelievable, because of the power of the man that we're talking about here. And then he callously, after this all took place, and you had a fat, bloody lip, I'll never forget the first time I met you. I went down to Arkansas and I interviewed you in your home, and you told me the story where you said, here, you better throw some ice on this. And he walked out.
He calmly walks to the door and puts on his sunglasses and turns and says, you better put some ice on that. I was shocked.
And tell the story about Hillary Clinton and how you had a meeting sometime after that where you met her and she knew who you were. Had you ever met her before?
No, I'd never met her before, and I had to be pointed out to her. As I've told you, Sean, I went to this gathering for him. I was still in a state of shock and felt like it was my fault. I felt like it was my fault, and I just had to accept it for letting him come to my room. That was just how we felt back then.
Yeah, you were going to have coffee with him. You wanted to pursue some issues that you cared about involving your profession of nursing. And he called you and said, oh, well, the coffee shop is crowded. Would you mind if I come up and have coffee upstairs with you? You think he's the Attorney General. You didn't think it was a risk to you in any way, and you invited him up.
I felt apprehensive, but he was the Attorney General.
Yeah.
I mean, I believed him. I believed it would not have been good to meet down in the coffee shop. I believed him. I even ordered coffee to the room.
You know, Linda sent me this statistic. The majority of sexual assaults are not reported to the police. By the way, this is, in this day and age, an average of 68% of assaults in the last 5 years were not reported. I mean, that is a very common thing. So why did you decide, when you first were interviewed by Lisa Myers, why did you decide to tell your story?
I just felt that it was time, that I had made a huge mistake by not coming forward sooner, and by denying it. I had denied it.
Yep, because you were afraid.
Oh, yes. Yes, I was afraid.
And tell everybody again about the Hillary encounter. So she knew who you were even though you had never met her.
Well, she didn't know who I was, I don't think, until she came in the door. But my friend Chuck Watts, who was a pharmacist here in Van Buren, drove them from the airport, and he came over to me. I was hoping to get out before they got there at this gathering, after I gave them my information. And before I could, Chuck came over to me and said that the topic of the conversation the entire way from the airport, which is about 20 minutes, was about me. And before I could get away, out the door, I see somebody in the kitchen pointing her toward me, and she comes directly over to me and starts her little talk about how appreciative she was of everything I was doing in Bill's campaign. And I started to just leave. I didn't want to have anything to do with her.
And you felt that she knew.
My arm in my hand.
Yeah.
And she pulled me back into her and said very low, she said, do you understand everything you do? And it frightened me, to say the least. And I took my hand from hers,
yeah.
And my two friends and I left.
And you had no doubt in your mind that she knew.
I know she did. People have written on Twitter and other things, and even Andrea Mitchell, and when she was questioning me, saying, well, how do you know? You know when somebody acts like she did toward me and pulls me into her so no one can hear her and says those words to me. I knew what she meant. She knew what she meant.
It almost gives you a chill that that something like this could happen and that the wife would know. What does it mean to you? And then we're going to get to Paula Jones and Kathleen, who are patiently standing by too. What does it mean to you to hear Donald Trump take up your case, and what does it mean to you to hear Hillary Clinton go out campaigning on gender issues and protecting her husband after all these years?
Oh, I think it's just disgusting what she's saying and what she's doing. And I'm so appreciative to Donald Trump for bringing it. I couldn't. It's very difficult for me to bring it forward because it's still too painful. But I appreciate his efforts.
Yeah. Wow, it's very hard. I've actually told people when I have been asked or interviewed by other people about meeting you, meeting Kathleen, meeting Paula, meeting Dolly Kyle, meeting other women, and they ask me, well, did you believe them? And I say 100,000%.
Well, thank you.
And that's my answer, because that's what I believe. I remember looking you in the eye. It was very hard to do that interview when I first met you in Arkansas.
I know.
It just was for me, you know. And by the way, I'm not saying it was hard for me. It was hard to hear this.
I know.
Yeah. Paula, welcome back to the program. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Hi, ladies.
Hi, Paula.
Now, have you